Yeah, I just yeah, my voice sounds a lot better in here. But just proud of the team for the first conference win against a very good opponent. They play hard. They don't go away. They challenged us in every area tonight, and I'm proud of the effort overall. We had some mental lapses, but we overcame that with just hard and hustle and got a great victory.
Hey, Coach, you had a solid game tonight. Talk about the play of your two guards, Lomax and Jones.
Yeah, two freshmen, playing in their first conference game, a big game. This game meant more to Alex than anybody because, he was signed with Wichita State and his ties. And Antoine Jones, I mean, what could you say about him? He's just a talent, man. We've just been waiting on him to come around, and he's starting to come around, and both of those guys played really, really well tonight.
Coach, you guys started off in the first half and second half a little slow on the offensive end of the floor, but as the game progressed and the lineups kind of settled in, everyone seemed to go a little bit more smoothly. Where would you rank this offensive on the season, the offensive group?
The one thing we're not worried about is the offensive end because we feel like we have enough weapons to score, and we still scored 85 points tonight with having an off night, which is still amazing to us, especially the way we started off. We've been focusing more on the defensive end and holding teams to a certain percentage and a certain number, and that's what we're going to focus on. But our offensive little woes that we have don't really worry me because I feel like we're going to be able to turn it on at any time.
Penny, early on, it seemed like they were trying to kind of like muck it up with you guys a little bit. How satisfying was it to see you guys kind of physically hold your own over the course of the game and really kind of wear them down as things went on?
Yeah, I think that's a different Memphis than what they're used to seeing. I know they've only been in the league 1 year, but I think last year they kind of had their way with the team physically, and a lot of teams feel like they could just come and just kind of beat us up. But to be able to take that physicality and put it back on them and play just as physical as them and hold them at bay and then push away, I'm definitely proud of that because we want to grow as a team in that category as well. You got to be a physical team at home and on the road.
Coach, do you feel like your team is taking a better shot selection here recently?
Yeah, we challenged that notion tonight a couple times with some bad shots, but yeah, we're trying to take better shots, and that's a product of getting into the paint, which our paint touches and points in the paint is the reason why we're taking better shots. We're getting more focus on that. 31 free throws from being more aggressive, moving the ball from strong side to weak side, and yeah, we're definitely getting better with that.
Coach, I know you're not much into accolades and whatnot, so how did it feel to get your first conference win, your first time out?
No, it feels great, man. I'm soaking all of this in. I mean, I'm not taking anything for granted. We have a great league. We have great coaches in this league, and Greg Marshall, you know what his history is and what his resume is all about. So to be able to beat a coach like that makes me feel good, and that team.
Yeah, Coach, how did you feel like your guys' pressure turned them into a jump shooting team and something that they're not very good at this year?
Well, they're a team that we know that they're going to play hard. We know that they're going to attack the basket. We just have to keep them at bay and make them take contested shots. I mean, they made some, but with Samaje not having a really good game, that really worked in our favor. And then Marcus didn't really have a great game as well, even though he ended up with 19. But we wanted to challenge those freshmen, Ricky Torres and those guys, to take contested jump shots, Burden and all those guys, and it worked in our favor.
Coach, how did you feel about just the head-to-head overall matchup with Wichita State, and how do you feel like that momentum will swing in going to the Houston game?
Well, I felt good at home. We played a really good schedule early, and we knew that this was going to be one of our toughest games because of how they play and how well they're coached. But we felt comfortable at home because we felt like we could, go out there and do what we've been taught on both ends of the floor. And if we stuck to our principles, that we'd have a great chance to win with our home court, with our fans behind us. And I'm sorry, in the second part of that, going to Houston, I think that we can take a lot of this to the next game, especially turning them over and getting to the foul line and taking good shots.
End of the first half, you went small press. That seemed to work out well for you. What was the thought there? And did it work exactly what you want? And then secondly, you take the Tootsie Roll Pop at the end. Do you actually eat the Tootsie Roll Pop? What do you do with the Tootsie Roll Pop?
I'm just very courteous. I'm thankful for her even giving it to us. I always take it. Sometimes I eat it, sometimes I don't. But I think it's a nice gesture for her and to give them to us and the players. So I'm okay with that. But the other part of that question, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. When we went small, we had to speed them up. There was no way we can let them walk the ball down the court, get it to their bigs, and then dump it inside. So it was to our advantage to speed them up, and it worked to our favor in the end of that first half.
Is there a way to get out of Mike Parks what you got out of him in those 12 minutes in the first half? Is it a health thing with him where you just kind of got to do it by feel? Like what's
It's not a health thing, man. It's more of a mental thing with Mike right now. And I know he wants more minutes, but we need the energy. Like the first half, he was awesome, and I was looking forward to playing him a lot of minutes in the second half. He comes out and gets scored on 3 times in a row, and didn't look like he had any energy. And he knows as a senior he can't do that. I'm not saying that that their big man didn't have the opportunity to get going, but he knew coming out the first 3 minutes that we were just trying to take over that half and go ahead and push the game away. And it seemed like he went backwards. And when he and Isaiah both started doing that, I just snatched one and then hope the other one just steps up.
Coach, your bench scored 44 points. That's more than half of your entire points. How do you get your bench to continue on the success it has on the road to Houston?
Well, I mean, we have an explosive bench. And you know with it led by Kevin Davenport. We got Kareem Bruden, Kevin Davenport, and Isaiah Maurice, who are really good scorers coming off the bench. And you know they've been doing an excellent job of coming out and putting points on the board for us, which is definitely going to be needed on the road at Houston. That's the best team that we're going to play. Obviously, record undefeated this year. We have to say that on the road in their building, and we're going to need that bench support.
Coach, it looked like Mike Miller was the scout for tonight's game. How satisfied were you with the game plan that you guys came up with?
Oh, Mike, you know, all of our coaches have been spot on with every scout. It's just the guys' attention to detail throughout the entire game. Sometimes they lose focus, and we're there to keep them, you know, to get them back on track. But Mike did an excellent job on everything that they wanted to do tonight and that they did tonight. We were ready for it.
You mentioned Greg Marshall and his reputation. A lot of people, when you were hired, were like, yeah, just wait until he has to match wits with someone like Greg Marshall. Mm-hmm. I take it you feel completely comfortable matching wits with that. I mean, is it just like you said, basketball is basketball?
Well, first of all, I have the utmost respect for Coach Marshall and all of the veteran coaches in this league. But, you know, I'm a workaholic. You know, I study the game, I understand the game, and you know, I have a great staff, and we're going to have our guys prepared. And I wasn't afraid to coach against anybody. I was really, you know, kind of relishing the moment and really wanting that because I wanted to see where I stood up when it came to those guys. They're legends, and I'm just trying to, you know, make my own mark for this school and for this team. And you know, I'll never look at it like me against him because we have, you know, we have staffs and we have to coach against each other. But it's awesome just being on the sideline coaching against a coach like that.
Penny, Antoine was telling us that we haven't seen anything yet compared to what he can do. I know for him it's a mental battle sometimes too. Where is he progress-wise as far as where you want him to be by the end of the year? From
where he was at the beginning, it was really tough. Where he is now, he's turning the corner and has turned the corner. So the best is yet to come. If I had to grade him right now, I give him a C+. But you know, and that's great because as a freshman, you're supposed to be progressing and not regressing, especially under our tutelage. So he's taking the initiative to go do more studying, to ask more questions, to be more attentive in shoot-arounds and in practice, and it's paying off.
Penny, conference games in this building last year didn't sound like this, and it was a good crowd. It was like how satisfying was that for you to have that support from the tip?
Oh, it's amazing because it's a nasty night. It's raining, it's cold. It's not a situation where people want to get out and go to a basketball game. They want to stay home and be safe. So for us to be able to have this type of crowd for our first conference game on a night where it's raining and cold, at least you know that the fans are committed to coming out and supporting us, and we're very appreciative. I'm appreciative of that.
It almost seems like, Penny, in pushing Antoine to the starting lineup, like you've empowered two guys. You've empowered him because he's involved, and then with Lomax, you've got a good enough relationship with him that he'd understand it. And then tonight, he's back to doing the things that Alex Lomax does. Is that the way you envisioned it? Were you a little, you know, going into that decision? I don't know, you know.
No, that was exactly the way I envisioned it, and God made it work out. But I knew Alex was going to have the response that he's given now. I've had him long enough to know that he wasn't going to take anything personal, that he was going to dig down and work harder. And I figured that with Antoine starting, that's what he always wanted to do when he first stepped on campus. And early on when he wasn't starting, it had him down. But we were just pushing him and challenging him. And I knew with putting him in the starting lineup that it was going to work both ways for Antoine and for Alex, and it couldn't have worked out any better.
Okay, we got time for one more.
Penny, you're going to Houston on Sunday. I think they've won 25 straight home games there. What do you know about them already? And what will you tell your team about going into an environment like that?
Well, I do know that they are playing some exceptional basketball. I mean, they're shooting the ball at a high clip. They're getting out. First of all, they're getting after people. They're very tough. They're a very physical team, and they hang their hat on their defense. But they also have some really good guards and scorers, and everybody stars in their role. Everybody understands who they are, and Coach Sampson has done a great job of understanding what he has. He's worked his butt off to get the roster that he wants now, and they're playing great basketball. And when I watched them play a couple games. The one game that comes to mind is the LSU game. They were down like 16 or 17. Their star player on the bench with 4 fouls pretty much the entire second half. And they fought back with just getting offensive rebounds and smashed LSU on the glass and won the game that way. So they can win the game in so many different ways with their shooting, with their fast break, and with their defense and rebounding. So they can come at you a lot of ways. So you got to go in there correct. You can't go in there thinking that you're not going to be able to have to bring it for 40 minutes. You're going to have to bring it for 40 minutes to beat them in that building.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.